We are your home theater and AV questions answered. This is AVRant. Want your home theater or AV question answered by Tom and Rob? Send it to question@avrant.com. Welcome to AVRant. I'm Tom Andry, and I'm here with
Rob H.
We literally do not have any time to answer any more questions, so we'll answer one more, and that is Danny. And he asked us over on Facebook, if you have a smart TV that already has Netflix, Amazon, and Hulu apps built in, is there any benefit to using something like Roku 4 streaming box instead? There's lots, actually, tons.
And there can be some detriments, so there's both sides.
Yeah. So one of the reasons why I don't, and a lot of the people that I've dealt with who have asked my help with their TVs don't use the smart apps that are in their TVs. One of the reasons is they are afraid that, especially if you, depending on what TV you got, that they're being tracked in some way from the TV manufacturer, because that has happened before. We know that. But more importantly, there's usually not as many apps, and the interface usually is all of the awful all shoved into one box and dumped over your head. So the streaming boxes, the streaming solutions, like Roku or Chromecast or something like that, to me, are often easier to use than the TVs or the ones, like especially the interfaces like on the Samsung. Maybe it was the Samsung. Maybe it was a Toshiba. It was a Toshiba, like a Blu-ray player I used one time. That interface was literally created by monkeys, you know, just like slamming keyboards.
The external streaming boxes are almost always faster. That's almost always the case. Yeah.
So for me, those are some of the benefits right there.
Yeah, usually it's just you have a greater select, like especially with Roku. Roku has almost every app under the sun, whereas most smart TV platforms won't have the selection of apps. So that's an obvious benefit. The other one would be the audio output, because at least you'll almost always get at least surround sound, like Dolby Digital 5.1 from the external, but from a Roku, from an Amazon Fire TV, or what would be my favorite would be the NVIDIA Shield TV. I think that's a terrific one, although it's, $200, so it's a little bit more expensive than some of them. But the audio side is almost always better, because most of the smart TV, you're limited to 2-channel coming out of there. Most of them are, even if it's using like the HDMI ARC setting, it's usually 2-channel that's coming out of there. So typically the audio is worse. Now on the detriment side, if you're talking about 4K and HDR, particularly HDR, the built-in apps are often the only way to actually get HDR, right? So if you're talking about Netflix HDR, particularly if you're talking about Dolby Vision, right? So if we're looking at the Vizio P series, the Vizio M series, or the LG Super UHD or the LG OLED TVs, the ones that have Dolby Vision, there is no current external streaming box that can send a Dolby Vision signal. There isn't a one. So if you want Dolby Vision, you have to use the built-in app, all right? So that's one thing. So HDR, usually that you'll want to use the built-in app for. But if you're just talking normal smart TV, a 1080p smart TV, or even a 4K but non-HDR, then there are external 4K boxes, right? There's the 4K Roku, there's the 4K Amazon, the NVIDIA Shield TV can do 4K. So the NVIDIA Shield TV is the only external box right now, right this moment, that can do HDR10. Right now it's with Netflix only, but they're planning to add it to other services. The newest Rokus that we talked about at the top of the show, the Premiere Plus and the Ultra models, those ones can do HDR10 with Netflix.
And I think just the one.
No, the Premiere Plus can as well. The Premiere Plus can do HDR as well, and the Ultra can do HDR.
Oh, the Ultra, that's right. The Premiere Plus and the Ultra, that's right. Yeah, the Premiere does 4K but not HDR, right? That's
right, yeah. They're confusing lineup. But yeah, Premiere Plus or Ultra in the brand new 4K model, Roku models that just came out, those can do HDR10 with Netflix, and they're planning on like Amazon and Vudu as well. So yeah, basically it's coming, but definitely Dolby Vision is the one where you actually want to use the built-in apps, because it's the only way to get it from that. So yeah, there you go. Now. I don't know. Clear as mud, but there's pluses and minuses, basically.
Yeah, the minuses are pretty minor at this point. Want your question answered? Send it to question@avrant.com. This is AVRant.
Now go out and listen to something.